Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Health First. Today I'm here with Dr. Avery, who is an emergency medicine fellow at Northwell Health. Hi, how are you?
Hey there, Emily. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining me here today. I would like to start off by asking what influenced you to go into the medical field?
Sure. So it's actually a long and twisted story, but a good one. Just so you know, I am a nurse practitioner. I'm not a physician. And there's kind of a neat story leading up to that. I think my mom showed me a journal a few years ago when I was in kindergarten stating that I wanted to be a nurse. And in high school, I remember recognizing my desire to help people and enter into some sort of career trajectory that would allow me to do that on a daily basis. And then the real kind of clincher happened for me after college. I did not pursue a degree, my first degree in any sort of medical field. And in college, I was helping to start an orphanage in another country. And it was a little bit of a hairy situation. But while I was there, I noticed that a lot of the local people would bring their family members to me, wanting me to fix things that were wrong with them. Maybe there had been a lot of medical missions to that area. I'm not really sure. But I noticed that I was using like every bit of first aid knowledge I had, and I really didn't have a clue what I was doing. So when I returned back to the States, I kind of became invigorated to study something that would allow me to go back and serve. Mm-hmm. So I ended up kind of pivoting into nursing and worked as a nurse assistant for a couple of years while obtaining my nursing license, worked as a nurse then for the past 9 years, and now I'm a new nurse practitioner and doing like a year-long fellowship training program in emergency medicine.
That's amazing. That's a really incredible story. And can you tell me a little about why you chose your specialty?
Sure. So, from that origin story, being abroad and seeing how far having a little knowledge can go, I, obtained that degree thinking I'd really love to go back and serve. My husband and I have a desire to be able to, do international disaster response work, probably just in a part-time capacity. And that is one benefit of working in emergency medicine or anywhere inside of a hospital. You often have a generous vacation package, like 3 to 6 weeks off a year. So you can be able to have kind of another little interesting vignette into your life.
That's great. And can you tell me a little about your profession and like what you do?
Sure. So in the emergency medicine field, I or drop off, and then it's the emergency. There's a lot of unknowns in the emergency medicine background, which makes this specialty not ideal for those who like to know what's going to happen in advance. So if you're considering a profession medically, then you might want to think about, if you like things in order, there are some really good options for that. Emergency medicine probably isn't the best for that. But the cool thing is you can see anything from, a hangnail, a running nose, to somebody whose heart's stopped and needs resuscitation. So you get a whole gamut of things. You work with children, you work with adults, you work with teens. It's a really neat field.
Yeah, and what do you like most about it? I think it froze.
Oh, I apologize.
Okay.
Oh no. Did I lose you on the last one?
Yeah.
So, it's tough to tell which profession, right? I love the nursing profession. I think it's this beautiful blend of like head and heart. You study to learn things, but then the nursing profession also teaches you how to kind of be a good human being also. Mm-hmm. So you get to, hold somebody's hand while they're, going through a really hard time, but also offer them this like really tangible medical plan to get through it. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of my favorite part about that. I also get to meet a wide variety of people in the emergency room, people speaking so many different languages. And I just sit still for very long. All different people. I love that. I can hear you now.
Yeah, I can
And I can see you moving in real time. I apologize. I missed your last question.
Yeah, so before the connection completely broke out, so as you know, the COVID pandemic has greatly affected the nation and continues to do so. So how is it like working during the pandemic, and how are you able to help people during the difficult time period?
So I was finishing up my nurse practitioner degree in studies and clinical hours during the March through August portion of that, and also working full time. Um, I was up trained to work in the ICUs. So I was working in the COVID ICUs for about 36 to 40 hours a week, and then spending an additional um, 15 to 30 hours a week as a student in the emergency room. So, getting to spend, 50 to 70 hours a week in the hardest hit areas of our hospital was challenging. It meant holding my bladder. It meant long hours of work. It meant getting, sores on my face, um, heartache, losses, a lot of stress. But it also meant getting to be there for people in their most challenging and desperate times, to hold the hands of wives, grandmothers, sisters, daughters, and be that family member that were restricted from being in the hospital at that time. And holding up the iPad or creating a Zoom phone call for family members so they could see their loved ones. It was so fun to watch I don't know if fun is the right word, but it was inspiring to watch my community come and rally around to support myself, to support my coworkers, donating masks, food, having parades outside of our hospital. There's a group of people that sang and prayed outside of the hospital, and it was very humbling.
Yeah, that's great. I can't imagine the bravery that it takes to work throughout the pandemic during the crazy times where everyone else was hiding indoors and a lot of uncertainty. So thank you for working throughout and helping everyone. So what is your outlook on the vaccine? Do you believe it is making a big impact, and are you for it?
When it first came out, I was kind of guarded about it. The first of the mRNA. Where's the research behind it? I had never been living in a time period of the emergency use authorization, but that wore off pretty quickly when I started seeing the results coming through. Israel was the first nation to vaccinate almost their entire population, and then seeing how effective the vaccine was at preventing the spread. And now they're going on and doing booster shots there, so we'll get to see the research on that. I think the estimates last week were that 94% of the COVID deaths last week were of those who had not been fully vaccinated. Mm-hmm. So few people are now dying from the virus when they're vaccinated. So I feel, I would very strongly advocate for those who are able to receive the vaccine to very strongly consider where they can get access to it. I know it's not possible for everyone, and I know people have different opinions about it, and healthcare has become so politicized this year. So it's a hot button issue. I can just speak from my standpoint. I had to hold a lot of people's hands while they died last year, just looking into my face and saying I didn't know it was real. I thought I could go out to eat. I didn't realize how big of an issue it was. And I saw hundreds of people die. So being able to see that we have a way to reduce that toll, to reduce death, to reduce the long-term effects of having COVID, I am for it.
Yeah, and to end off, can you give a few words of advice to the people of my generation going into the medical field?
I'm so inspired by you doing this, Emily. I think this is such a cool thing that you're interviewing people and kind of getting so many diverse opinions and perspectives and different, there are so many ways to be involved in healthcare, from the people who love to be hands-on, from CNAs to LPNs to RNs, NPs, PAs, physical therapists, MDs, DOs, chiropractors, naturopathics, and then there's, the supportive roles, the food services, maintenance, housekeeping, those who do talk therapy, administration, information technology, There's people who work within organizations doing vision casting or leadership management. I feel like there's something for everyone within the field of medicine, where you think medicine, you think, oh, I have to be a doctor, but there are so many different ways to be involved and to help. And so I think it's important to know who you are, what makes you tick, what kind of job you like working in, what's rewarding to you, whether it's helping others, whether it's money, whether it's a work-life balance. I'd say, sometimes you find yourself in a position and realize, this isn't quite me. And there's so many opportunities to move and shift throughout your life and, with your career. I guess another word of wisdom would be, if you're going to pursue becoming a physician, as you've stated, is to get some financial input from people about how to budget for that, because med school is very expensive, and the average student is exiting residency with maybe $250,000 worth of debt, which can sound pretty daunting, but with a good plan for that can be paid down pretty quickly. And that goes for a lot of the schooling, and PAs, a lot of them have a lot of debt. But I guess those are a few little pearls, and any other questions, thoughts?
No, those are all the questions, but thank you for the advice. I definitely see that, like, from doing this YouTube channel, there are so many like fields in medicine that I didn't know about, and like I got to learn more about. So I definitely see that there's like so many fields in medicine that you and like into. But yeah, those are the questions. So thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me, and thank you again for doing this. I hope that your efforts win many people for the healthcare field. The more the merrier. I think it's great.
Thank
Have
you.
a good night.
You too.